Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. Alright, let's go ahead and let's do yet another Skinwalkers Encounters video here. This time focusing not just on one, not two, but three short encounters that people have had with these infamous skinwalkers. Once again, these stories come from the reddit.com website. They're from the subreddit called Skinwalkers. They're short stories, but they definitely chronicle some creepy encounters that people have had with these mysterious creatures. And as always, I'll give my own thoughts on them afterward. The first one is going to be titled, No Idea What Happened or What This Thing Was, but it scared the blank out of me. Next one is titled Daytime Experience When I Was a Kid. And the last one is titled Story from My Childhood. This page reignited my memory. So three good short encounters. The first one, let's go ahead and let's talk about that here. Comes from the user by the name of Objective Hour 360. And again, it's titled No Idea What Happened or What This Thing Was, but it scared the blank out of me. So here's what they stated. This happened in October in 2021. I live by myself near the woods in eastern Tennessee. And so around 10 at night, I'm watching a movie in my trailer. I'm thirsty and I realize I left my water bottle in the car. And so I go out and I'm rooting around looking for it, and I heard footsteps behind me. And so I turn around and there's this white thing waddling at me about 10 feet away, coming straight from the woods. And so I hopped in my car, locked the doors, and I looked around and I couldn't see whatever it was. After this, I went back inside, and then the round of my property about a half an hour later, I didn't see or hear anything else. Now, it didn't look like the typical skinwalker based on other people's sightings I've read. It was a good 2 feet taller than me, and it was plump. I thought it was someone playing a prank at first since it was close to Halloween. But like I said, I'm by myself in the middle of nowhere, and there's no way a person could disappear that quick in 30 seconds. I consider myself a pretty good outdoorsman, but I've never heard of anything like this, and I don't believe I've been scared blankless like this to go back into the woods since then. Any ideas on what this could have been? And then that's it. That's everything that the user Objective Hour 360 stated. So short but sweet, but let's talk about that here. So the first one is this. It happened there in eastern Tennessee. I think the first time I'm chronicling anything involving that location. Once again, it's in the middle of the night. Once again, it's out there in the middle of nowhere. You sense a pattern, right? It seems like these skinwalkers, outside of one where the dude saw it at a busy complex, like an apartment complex, these skinwalkers definitely love roaming about in the middle of nowhere. And then there was that thing. That was creepy when I was reading that information. Whatever this white thing was, it was taller than him. It was plump, but the sight of it like waddling over to him, obviously noiseless too, considering that he considered himself a good outdoorsman, he would hear this type of stuff, in other words, or at least sense it. Nope, in this case, it was right there, 10 feet away from him, coming straight towards him, and he had the wherewithal to immediately go inside the car. And then just like that, it was gone. So who knows what this could be on there. Interestingly enough, I was thinking it might be those night crawlers, the stuff that I was talking about years back in another video, but that was in California. In this case, this is Tennessee, so that would be a first when it comes to that. But yeah, otherwise, pretty unsettling encounter when it comes to this thing out of the blue, just coming up straight towards him. Now, the next one comes from a user by the name of BabyWitch999, and they titled their experience, Daytime Experience When I Was a Kid. So here's what they state. On the land in my hometown of Texas, my cousin and I were riding our horses like we normally would. But this day, I heard a girl scream for help. She continued to scream, and then it changed to the sound of maybe a bobcat or a panther. I started yelling things like hello to get out of here, trying to scare it away, even running the horses along the sideline to make it sound like it's a herd heading its way. I eventually stopped and listened to it die down, and now it sounded almost distorted or demonic to me. kind of knew little of skinwalkers since there were natives in my family who told me these bonfire stories, and we had these very often in the winter, so I had a feeling it was that. Now, to give it context, its location was from a forest-type field near ours, while our land has minimal trees. It's just weird how it was daytime, and I never heard anything like it before, but it was out there in the country. Then that's it. That's everything that Baby Witch 999 said in their very short encounter. So once again, in this case, it involves Texas, something that I've chronicled in some of my other past videos. This is the first, though. It seems like this case involved it happening during the daytime. It would have been a clear way for this user to see whatever this thing was. Whatever was creating that distorted sound, I have no idea if it was, let's say, like it was a woman crying, and obviously that's still something very unnerving. Like you obviously want to help. Maybe it was something along those lines of it was bait. You know how skinwalkers are intelligent enough to do that kind of stuff where they may be able to do something to draw people attention. A woman crying is one. Another one is babies crying. I mentioned that in some of the other past videos. So it definitely got the guy's attention, this unsettling sound. And then all of a sudden it went demonic. That would get me bye-bye. I would be gone. I would be out of there. I probably wouldn't come back for a long time. And so the fact that this dude apparently stayed a little bit longer and wanted to see what it was or try to find out what it was, that's definitely something that's just out a whole different field than that. And once again, it happened out there in the middle of nowhere. He said it was out in the country. But again, in the daytime, this would have been a perfect situation for him to see a skinwalker out in the open. You know how there's always these stories happening at night, very hard to see, especially if someone is driving or walking around in pitch darkness. But unfortunately, nope, this was out there, but it wasn't seen. So crazy stuff. Now, the last one has to do with a user, guy by the name of the Cosmic Camel, and they stated their story as, story from my childhood, this page reignited my memory. So here's what they state. Not sure if my experience was with a skinwalker, but here's my story. I was probably around 9 or 10 when this happened. I'm originally from East Tennessee, a little town outside of Knoxville. I don't know if this correlates to the thing I saw, but when I was younger, I used to dig in my backyard. I found a few arrowheads in my time and a really cool rock marble, like it was white rock, and it was roughly carved into a perfectly circleable, rollable stone. And I used to play with the neighbor's dog who actually disappeared that same year, which wasn't normal. My grandparents who I lived with felt bad because I didn't have a dog, and so they got me a black lab who I loved. I always went out back into the woods or the fields behind my house and played, but never at night. Anyways, flash forward a year or two, and my dog is going crazy. Her doghouse was near the shed at our fence line. It was pitch black around 10:30 p.m. So I go on my porch and turn on the light. My dog comes to the stairs but is looking at the fence line. There's a small line of trees, maybe 2 or 3 trees deep before you get to the field. Nothing major at all. All I can make out though are 2 red eyes staring at me. I freak out and I get a flashlight, and then I come back, they're still there. And so I shine the light, but all there is still red eyes, but no visible animal. Few years later, but sadly my dog died that night, and my grandpa buried her while I was at school. And I don't know if the dog's death correlates to my neighbors, but I still remember vividly those red eyes looking at me. Any thoughts? And then that's it. That's everything that this user stated with their childhood experience. Freaky stuff. So first off, this happened, I think, again, there in Tennessee. What a coincidence, right? I was just mentioning that the other story, and that's a little town outside of Knoxville. In this case, there happened to be a field or a forest, some type of woods that were behind the guy's house, and then that's where he was, playing with his dog that was there as well. But I'm sorry, not playing with the dog, but the dog was going bonkers. But he would mention that he would always play around that area, just never in those spooky fields. But yes, once this dog was going bonkers and he stared over into that small line of trees, that's where he saw those eyes. Oh my goodness, that would be another situation where if I saw something like that, then I would be gone, especially when he got that powerful flashlight and then flashed it right there, and all he still saw were eyes, no body, no animal, nothing, just the eyes themselves. That would be freaky. I actually have something similar to that in terms of my own experience. It's not a skinwalker, but it's definitely something ghostly. This happened over there at Camp Ford in Tyler, Texas. If you go there, there's apparently an entity that's there that makes its presence known when it wants you to go away. Everything is fine at first, like maybe you won't see or hear anything, but then you'll start having things thrown at you, and then you start hearing things, like in terms of shuffling, like obviously somebody is there when they're not. But the final part is this: when you see red eyes staring at you from far away, that's when it's its final warning. The entity is letting you know it wants you gone. And it's almost like a friendly warning, if you could consider it that. And so I saw those eyes over there. I was on a ghost tour there in Camp Ford. I was with some ladies who were part of the ghost tour. They were people that had that sense, they're able to sense these things. And so when we were doing our little ghost tour there, that's when she pointed out those red eyes, and I saw them. I can't believe I saw those red eyes. Those red eyes were maybe about 2, maybe 3 feet off the ground. It was like it was something hunching on the ground itself. But just like this dude right here, I could not see any body. I saw floating red eyes. I wanted to walk over to those eyes. I wanted to see them up close and in person. But the lady actually grabbed me and she was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. She stopped me and then she said, we got to go. And so we ended up leaving. But that's the closest encounter that I have to this. Crazy stuff, right? So when this dude saw those red eyes out there, I totally related to him. He also stated something that the eyes, it almost looked like they were part of the bush, but they were hidden in. It was just creepy stuff. But that's it. If anyone has any more info, anything else I might have missed, please post those comments below. Maybe some of you, again, in that Tennessee area, who knew that is a landmark for skinwalkers. Love to hear where your thoughts are there too. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care.